Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Linux Ronin. This is going to be our second news episode. So I'm Swathe,
And I'm spirodotgeek.
and we're here to bring you some of the latest news to do with the Linux and sysadmin world. So, Spiro, if you want to take it away.
Sure. So, the first piece of news, we'll do a couple of Red Hat pieces of news. The first one is that there is a libuser vulnerability that was kind of announced recently. I was having a look at some of the binaries that were supposed to use it, and not as many were linked to that library as the first thing I read seemed to imply. It was for it. So basically, what it is it it's a library that allows changes to the etc password, but I think a lot of the ways that most of the other utils work is that they'll basically make a temporary copy of the etc password, make the changes, verify that it's okay, and then copy those changes back into the live. Apparently anything using the libuser library edits the live etc password, and they found a vulnerability which was basically it wasn't checking for the new line character, so someone could feed a new line character in, completely balk the etc password, and bad days would ensue apparently. So as I said, I like none of the main user space tools that I use on a day-to-day basis anyway that were affected, and this web page talks about the user helper program, which I've never fucking used. You know, to me it's all user add or check group, or what is it, CHFN or something that changes some of the other, or who am I kidding? I just edit the etc password by hand.
Well, I guess it's mainly, because Linux is so good at piping commands in from one thing to another, so people may not use that library, but it's probably trivial for someone probably smarter than me to work through a few different things and end up taking advantage of that. So,
well, yeah. I mean, I think that it's. I guess the assumption is if you've. Well, the assumption I always make is if someone has got access to etc password, you're fucking dead in the water anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like having physical access to a box. All bets are off.
Yeah, and so any program user space that lets non-root users change etc password, I can't imagine that happens a lot, or if it does, that those are on standard systems anyway. So maybe it's not such a big deal. What is interesting though is that they've updated this in CentOS 6 and 7, but not CentOS 5, even though 5 is still vulnerable to this. So
when's the support on 5 end? Because it's 10 years for CentOS, if I recall correctly. 10 years support.
Yeah, I'm not too sure actually.
Must be close.
I think CentOS 5/RHEL 5 is. Well, no, because it must be out, because I'm pretty sure that they do security updates for that lifetime, so it must be end of life.
I can't imagine them leaving it if it was still supported.
Yeah, and I had a look at other boxes I've got, and OpenSUSE and Debian 7 boxes that I have got don't use that libuser, so none of those are vulnerable. So going along with other Red Hat news, is Red Hat have released 6.7, and that has got some fabulous new updates. It hasn't. I before we started recording, I checked out some CentOS boxes, and so this 6.7 hasn't hit CentOS yet. Again, some of the updates can take anywhere from days to weeks for them to make it to CentOS. But some of the things that stood out for me, out of all the changes that have happened here, is one of them was they added -C to IP tables, which allows you to check your rules, which I thought was quite interesting. I don't know whether I'm going to want to use that in any kind of scripting, but it's nice to know it's available. Another one that I really don't use enough of is IP set, which is a sort of a subset of IP tables that allows you to, instead of doing one rule at a time, you can actually say, here's a rule, now here's a set of hosts that match that rule. So it apparently saves a lot of resources when it's churning through a lot of massive rule sets. So it's something that I've always wanted to look at, but haven't got around to it. So anyway, one of the things they've just added in 6.7 is IPv6 to IP set. So again, IPv6 is something that a lot of the boxes that I've got have got IPv6 addresses, but what do they call them? The local loopback type addresses. But even working at an ISP, we haven't got it to a point where it's on all of our production boxes, because it's not enabled all the way up the stack through our upstream. So locally we've got the IPv6 working in some services, but not everything. Some of the other things, they've allowed SSL protocols to be configurable in Cyrus, IMAP, and Dovecot. So I think that there's a lot of changes that are coming into these as sort of flow-on effects from the OpenSSL problems we've seen over the last year or two. And the last Cyrus box I set up, I don't recall seeing the ability to set what versions of SSL or TLS you explicitly allow or deny.
Okay. So, I've never touched Cyrus. I've only done a little bit with Dovecot. So
right. Whether that was there before and I had missed it, I don't know. So that's something that they've rolled into Red Hat now. Another feature which is interesting is MD80M. They've upgraded to 3.3.2, and one of the features they've added is the auto rebuild of a failed RAID volume.
I can't believe that's only just getting
yeah.
To me, that's like an intrinsic part of like, how could you deploy RAID and not be able to have it auto rebuild? Like, bugger that.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's only certain RAID sets. I should have a dig more into this. We'll put links down in the video notes. But yeah, there was just there's just so much pages and pages and pages of changes. A lot of them were trivial, so I didn't really go through them with a fine tooth comb. So that's what's new in the Red Hat world.
Awesome. Righto. Off to another big giant in the tech industry, good old Google. Now Google's starting to offer a lot of free cloud storage in an attempt to take on Amazon's AWS. It's probably also to try to compete with Microsoft's Azure, which I still haven't had to play with. One day I'll get around to it. So Google's actually offering up 100 petabytes of storage for nothing. which is which is a fair old chunk. I don't think I'll ever need to use that much. 1
petabyte should be more than enough for anyone.
Well, they're saying for a single customer that's enough to last a lifetime. I don't think I could, especially with the Australian internet speeds, like 100 petabytes. I'm not even going to make a dent in it. But they're saying, for a medium-sized business, it may last a few months. I don't know what they're doing. Recording 4K porn or something, or Mega HD and 3D and whatnot. But basically, the Google pricing works out to a gigabyte for less than a penny. And that works out to, for an equivalent pricing with AWS, is something like a $9,300 saving. Initially, the article had for a penny and then put the saving in pounds. So I don't know why they're mixing currencies, but I've switched it all across to US dollars to make it easier. So, I mean, 10 grand's a fair old whack of cash. My only take from that being, a very small operator that's not going to be able to take advantage of this, that it forces a bit of a pricing war, and maybe AWS will knock down the price of storage, because the majority of our bill that comes into work here for our AWS instances is for the storage.
Right.
It's like 50% of the cost of a machine for us. So
yeah. Well, there's been some interesting stuff going on in this space lately, and I guess it's all related. I mean, Google recently announced that they were sponsoring OpenStack. And I don't know if it was in response to that, but Intel turned around and they said, "Oh, well, we think that the cloud is too hard, so they want to make it easier." So they're trying to jump onto the bandwagon, and they will also be using OpenStack by the sounds of it. And I don't know how much they are going to roll back into it, to make it better for everyone. But
well, Rackspace is certainly chuffed with it all, and that's their bread and butter. So yeah. It'd be interesting to see how it goes.
Brave New World.
I have to wonder, the whole OpenStack, is it just another buzzword like cloud or what? But it seems to be growing and going from strength to strength, depending on your viewpoint.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. It's and I'm amazed that to some degree, huge companies are shifting their virtualization into the cloud. I mean, I see the cloud as really good for small companies, or people like me as well. For my personal, I mean, I've got lots of VMs basically on AWS, but if I was running a big system and there was a lot of money involved, why would I be relying on some other vendor to host everything where it's completely out of my control? So that's nonsensical to me. I mean, if you're going to be throwing money at this, surely you would be spinning up your own data center, your own hypervisors to do this yourself.
I think a lot of most of them are probably, they're stuck in that hybrid world where they don't want to host everything themselves but can't fully commit to cloud. So they're probably hosting a lot of stuff internally, but they have compute nodes in the cloud just to sort of supplement it if something big happens. I know a lot of the gambling companies in Australia, especially when it's like the Melbourne Cup day, they get a lot of compute nodes sort of in the cloud. So obviously it's the busiest betting day of the year in Australia, and they have to offload that offsite somewhere. But all I can imagine is the finance guys have calculated it down to the nth degree, and if this is 2 cents an hour cheaper than the other thing, well, we're going with that. So
yeah,
I guess it entirely depends on your operation. But
well, that's true. Yeah, no, I'm not a money guy. I don't think like they do.
Oh, nothing to do with that sort of things.
Yeah.
As long as I have budget.
Okay, on to the next thing. MongoDB. Now this is some interesting shit right here. So, the first link I saw was from this blog.shodan.io. And so we've got here, apparently, MongoDB admins accidentally exposed 600 terabytes of data. So the numbers that were thrown around was that there's nearly 30,000 databases that have been exposed because admins were using out-of-date versions of MongoDB, and the total was almost 600 terabytes of data exposed via publicly accessible instances that don't have any form of authentication. Now that is a whole lot of fucking awesome right there. So, kind of as a result of this, there are a whole lot of people saying, "Oh, the defaults suck. That they should be changed." But they have been for the latest versions. But see, the other side of me says that who the fuck sets up something like this? Surely they must be intentionally opening it up, because the default port for MongoDB is like 27107, right? And there are other ports which are 27 and 28,000s. So do people who set up these instances have no firewalls in place? Do they allow everything to come in automatically? If they do, how is that the software's fault?
Or are the networking guys trying to blame the guys? I didn't mean that.
So this just boggles my fucking mind.
Oh. And like, it doesn't matter whether what it is. Like, I change the ports for everything.
Yeah, but it's not even just changing the ports. It's like okay, so you install a system that is going to be receiving your data. This is as a NoSQL database, and you're throwing data at it. You don't set up any kind of authentication. You're making it so that anyone can put data in and read data out without authenticating. Are they assuming security by obscurity? 30,000 is a lot of people relying on a security by obscurity.
Security by obscurity. You can't even rely. How many automated bots are out there port scanning everything?
Like this motherfucker. Like Google.
It's not. Yeah, well, it's. I could just imagine someone when they found that, just like, oh, this looks interesting, and they got in there, just being like, oh, holy fuck, start messaging all their mates, check this out, send the link around.
It's okay. So if someone sets this up, I would say this is intentional. If someone sets up a piece of software like this, and they don't allow they don't require authentication, and they've opened their firewalls so that these 28,000 port ranges are open incoming, that's got to be intentional.
It's got to be that, or
really
somebody wasn't told
admins
that those machines were in production and hadn't set up the file. Oh, yeah, I just don't get it. Not even like some sort of like port forwarding to throw people off or something. Maybe like it's
retarded.
Yeah, I don't get it, and I would hate to be the guy responsible.
Is this our new breed of fucking sysadmins?
Well, it could be, and I guess that's a good little segue into this next. It's not really a news item, I suppose, but it's an article I was reading on Linux.com, and I thought it was pretty interesting, and it was all about Linux system administrators' skills changing. So the relevant skills to your job or our job are constantly evolving. So we've got all this stuff that we've talked about, like virtualization, platforms and configuration management and containering stuff up with Docker and all that sort of thing. So has the focus become on that, and then these basic skills like, a fucking firewall or some IP tables rules or whatever, going by the wayside, or people forgotten about it? I mean,
yeah, that's possible.
Configuring a kernel, and I'm a Gentoo. Anyone who knows that I love Gentoo. I just could not be fucked anymore. Like, even when I install Gen kernel, I'm not custom configuring shit. Like, in this day and age, hardware makes no difference. I can't
be asked doing that either these days.
And and look how efficient configuration management is now. Like, you've got a cluster of web servers, and you hose one, and you go, oh fuck, now I've got to go through, and you start checking logs, or you just like spin up a new VM, deploy all the stuff on it, and 10 minutes you got another one back and running. Like, is this taking away from our troubleshooting skills, or that's the thing for me. I guess you got to find a balance. I don't think you can survive without having basic skills, because sometimes you might just have access to a shell and you're on your bloody own. But maybe we'll separate, or people will specialise in one area or another. But I don't want it to be like Microsoft land, where someone goes, I'm an Exchange consultant, and that's all they fucking do. Like, and then they need to do anything outside of that, and they don't know. So if you're looking for which way paths to take, but certification wise, what do you say? Do the Red Hat and then one of these things, or?
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And I don't want to insult too many people. Fuck it. Who cares? So they're making it so easy to install these things, that the old saying that we used to rail against Windows was that if you make it so that idiots can use it, then idiots will end up using it. I think that's where we've gotten in the sysadmin world. We're making it so that these things are, and as wonderful as things like Docker are for those lazy bastards like me who just, we can't be bothered fucking doing everything from bare metal and just doing, they've made our lives easier. But, it's the difference between those of us who know, as you were saying, the troubleshooting skills, and those who basically can literally copy and paste out of a fucking website and have their shit going and say, well, look, I didn't need any skills. No skills, ma. All I need to know is how to fucking start a VM instance, and basically copy and paste off a fucking web page, and that's it. Now
you don't even need to be able to install Linux. You just use something like Vagrant, and it pulls in a machine image boots and SSH in. Yeah. You're doing nothing. Yeah. So,
that's it. And that's good when your sysadmin walks under a bus and someone else needs to maintain the systems in desperation. But yeah, I'm worried that we're getting to a point where those skills are seen by the penny pinchers to be less and less necessary, and then when shit really hits the fan, shit starts hitting the fan.
Make sure that you're well-rounded. Is all I can say.
I'm very well-rounded. I eat enough pizza that I'm the bloody most well-rounded in my company.
That's what I say to the missus. I've got the body of a god Buddha.
GCC 5 is making its way into Debian and Ubuntu. So we've got here a huge package overhaul is imminent. The changes that are coming in GCC 5. So GCC 5 was released in April this year. 5.2 just came out July 16th, which I think by my non-mathematical calculations was not too long ago. And the distros are starting to get on it. So, I don't know how long this is going to take to get into Debian. Not sure I really care about Ubuntu because I only deal with servers. Ubuntu's on my laptop, but it's not a serious operating system. It's got a GUI.
Are you using Unity?
Fuck no, I use Fluxbox. So one of the things that is coming out of GCC 5 is the new C++ standard and it's new back in 2011. The GCC 4. 4.8, 4.9 that are out now are using primarily the C++ 1998 standard. So a lot of applications are going to have to be rewritten, or rather, it's going to allow people to rewrite. Because I'm not a C++ coder, I don't really know what a lot of the differences are, but what I was reading on GNU's site, for example, was that GCC 6 will completely remove C++ 98 compatibility. So things are starting to shift, and I did a quick run through of a bunch of my boxes. CentOS 6 uses GCC 4.4. That's the oldest one I found. So I'm not running any CentOS 6, CentOS 7 boxes. So I don't know what that's running. OpenSUSE 13.2 uses GCC 4.8, but they have got in there. That's by default. That's what that installs. But they've got 4.9 in their repos. Debian 7 uses GCC 4.7, and I don't have any GC boxes, so I don't know what that uses. OpenSUSE Tumbleweed uses GCC 5 by default, and I think that they've got 4.8 or 4.9 as an option to go back. So it'll be interesting to see how long it takes for upstream developers to recode things.
Things to break.
Well, yeah, and there will be a lot of breakage, I guess, right? So it's going to be, but it's one of these. This is probably one of the more significant changes to the whole platform that we've seen for a bloody long time. So it'll be interesting to see how this goes.
Yeah, well, I'm not a coder either, so I'll just be looking for stuff to break. So I might put a hold on the GCC upgrades until we see how it all unfolds. But I mean, nothing really runs out of the ordinary, so I don't.
Well, yeah, I mean, for the most part,
saying that because I'm
setting
setting myself up for failure, but.
For the most part, we install stuff out of packages, and anything that we roll from sources is just configure, make, install. So, we won't see that for the most part.
Yeah. Good luck to the coders out.
Yeah. You're going to be all very busy.
Righto. Next thing, Linux.conf.au or Linux.conf.au, however you want to say it. The call for papers is open. I suppose people are now part of the world, or I guess anyone in the Linux world has probably heard of the Linux Australia conference. It's one of the premier ones in the Southern Hemisphere, and the next one is 2016 from the 1st to the 5th of February in Geelong, Victoria, Australia. So that's a couple of thousand kilometres south of where I'm at the moment. So
it's a bit further away.
Linus Torvalds is a regular visitor.
Yeah.
There's been no keynote speakers announced as yet, but it's fairly early on. That sort of happens a bit closer.
Yeah.
If anyone would like to sponsor us for a trip to go there, that'd be bloody great, because I've been meaning to go for so long, and it's just never eventuated. Have you ever been?
Well, it'd be interesting to see if I can get there through my work, because we're in Australia and New Zealand, but I'm basically the only Linux sysadmin, so I don't know if I'd be. My job was I was the same at my last job, which was another ISP, but and they were nice enough to the first few years they let me go, and like I had to pay for it all, but they basically still paid me my wage and didn't take it out of annual leave or anything. So and then later on we got another guy who was a developer, and he went along as well, so the work ended up paying for our tickets, but everything else, our flights, our accommodation, we still had to pay for. So I've only been a couple of times in Oz, and I went when they were here in Wellington as well, but I think it was this year they were up in Auckland in New Zealand.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
And because that happened to coincide with me not having a job at that time, so didn't get to that. But yeah, it's really good. You haven't been to any, have you?
Not yet. I live in hope.
Yeah.
It's just because I'm so far away from any capital cities. Like,
yeah,
there was one in Brisbane, which is the closest to me, but I didn't make that. And then it's been in like Tasmania, Perth, New Zealand. So it's well out of my reach at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, they are pretty cool. I mean, it's just they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's getting kind of insane. So.
But anyway, I always watch the talks every year, and as I said, we'd love to go. Yeah. Okay. I guess coming up to the most important day of the year for us, 31st of July, 16th annual Sysadmin Day. So, unless you've been living under a rock or something, it's a day to celebrate sysadmins and IT professionals around the world, except for the guys at Rate Exchange and SharePoint. Fuck those guys. Again, I'm just kidding, but fuck that shit. So, I don't know. I always see posts on the internet where the guys are like, "Oh, these people send us cake and they're getting all these emails and everything like that." I've been in one job where I received one email message where a guy had seen it on the local newspaper or something that it was Sysadmin Day, and that was it. I've had no gifts showered upon me, no sort of words from end users or management or anything like that. So I don't know whether you've had any experiences or positive experience with Sysadmin Day. This year, my Sysadmin Day, I'll be celebrating with some after-hours server maintenance on a Friday, which is one of the absolute joys about being a sysadmin. So, what are your plans?
Well, I've never done anything with it before, and I've never had anyone mention it before. But I think this year, I'm going to be making a competition video for Linux Ronin.
Sounds good.
I think that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, yes.
So, what has happened here is that this little channel that we started, that we expected about a dozen people by now, or probably by like next month, we are over 800 subscribers.
It's insane.
So, let me just switch to this screen here so people don't have to look at the ads on that page. So we've decided to have a competition, but we haven't decided what we're going to do yet. So the plan is you come back on July 31st, probably because we're in a different time zone here, so we're well advanced of the US. So I think that by the time you get to your July 31st, there'll be a video up. So it'll be open to everyone who is a subscriber up until that video gets posted. Details will be announced in the video, and we expect that we'll be sitting on our asses. I mean, working hard, but also sitting on our lovely IRC channel, which we welcome you guys to join. We've had a few people, and the details are in the scroll text below. They'll be in the crotch box, and there will be prizes.
There will be prizes.
There will be prizes.
There's no cocaine and hookers, but we'll think of something.
We're not at that many subs yet. We can't
No.
sponsor people that quite yet.
If Larry Ellison would like to kick in, even though we haven't got into any Oracle bashing yet, that would be sweet.
Yeah,
So,
I think there's still a bit of soul left that I could sell to him. Might be. Maybe.
but also follow us on Twitter at Linux Ronin.
Yeah.
Um,
And I should have mentioned that, see, if you look at this roll text right now, our fancy new URL, apparently we had to have 500 subscribers and a channel operating for 30 days. Well, we hit the 500 subscribers in a day, so it seems they just kind of ignored that 30-day thing. So now you can get us at youtube.com/LinuxRonin.
which is a hell of a lot easier.
Fucking awesome than channel/blah blah blah random fucking hash.
Yeah. You can also follow me directly on Twitter. It's at nerd_rage. You've got to send me a request to see my wonderful tweets, but if you want to tweet me and tell me I'm ugly or send me your mother's phone number, go for it. I aim to bloody please.
Yep. Alrighty. I think that means we're going to wrap up this video right now.
I think so. I think we come in a little bit shorter.
Shit, it's only like 36 minutes and it might get a bit of trimming. So
Awesome.
hopefully those of you who were too busy working to sit around for the full hour last time will enjoy a shorter format. Hopefully we've still been interesting, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thanks for all the feedback, guys. Awesome.
Thanks for the feedback. Thanks for subscribing. We look forward to more, and we'll see you next time.
See you, kids.